This video is gonna be about our January meeting. What we're gonna do, we're gonna look at plant and see what's wrong with it. Okay. And that is our Joe Bryson.
Okay.
So,
right, however you want to do this, we have a leaf here, and that leaf is showing a lot of brown with black, kind of black edging, and then outside the black edging, you'll see the rest of the leaf is showing some reddish anthocyanin, which is the reddish color that you see on a green leaf.
Hang on. You have no sound?
Area that goes all the way around, and you see that white area, and then you'll see the leaf is somewhat discolored, this area right here being reddish, which is an anthocyanin, which gives color, and that color mimics the color of the flowers. That color appears when you have very bright light on a leaf, and it causes the anthocyanins to express themselves in whatever the color of the leaf is. Of the flower is. So that tells me, one, the light is very bright. Very bright.
Yep.
Two, it tells me with the white center and the black around it, this black is working its way out, and the white is getting bigger and bigger, and then after a while you'll see holes in where the white area is, and that's called sunburn. No pest, no disease, sunburn. Because you can see the anthocyanin, you can see the white area around it where it got burned, you can see that it was black where it got really burned, and then the white area was it just bleached out and all of the cells have collapsed. Again, it's a matter of very bright light, and under here you can see the color, the anthocyanin, which is the red color expressed on a green leaf, which is bright. So the bottom line is, this thing bloomed well. It needs energy, it needs light to bloom, but it's too much. Okay? Now, look at the flower. This flower is just opening, so we don't know what it's going to do. But check out the spots all over this flower here. Can you all see that damage? That's not from being too bright. That's thrips damage. By the way, thrips, T-H-R-I-P-S, is singular or plural. You can have one thrips and you can have hundreds of thrips. It's always plural. There's no such thing as a thrip. It's like I had an uncle one time in Indianapolis, and we went out to breakfast, and we asked him if he wanted to try grits. He said, "I've never had grits. Let me have one." Well, if you're familiar with grits, you can't eat one grit. Okay, so this is thrips damage. It's a tiny insect. They vary in color from a very light beige to a deep black. They're a little long thing, and you can see them with the naked eye if you've got good vision. You can see them crawling around, and what they do, they're a sucking insect. They love to suck the juice out of the flowers. The flowers then become damaged. If the flowers are touching each other, like the petals and sepals overlap, you'll see brown areas where the juice from the flowers come out and they stick together. One of which was virus, and the rest of them were tested clean. They took their hand and they rubbed the leaf, and they touched every flower. And then they retested them after a while. Every plant was virus after that. That's how fast they spread. And thrips are a vector. They will spread virus because they suck the juice out and they go from plant to plant. So if they get the virus, then they will inject it into every plant they touch. So you gotta be very careful. I don't know quite what those streaks are. I would not discard the plant. I might isolate it and check it. You don't see the streaks on anything else except that one leaf. I don't think.
Joan, what do you have?
Well, I used to spray it with alcohol when I found them on the flowers.
Yeah.
I sprayed it with alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol will kill thrips, no doubt about
It
it.
saves the flower pretty much.
Yeah, you don't want to do it when it's too bright. Alcohol is a contact killer. It can only kill them when it's wet. So if you get a spray bottle and you put 70% isopropyl alcohol in it and you spray your flowers, not in the sun, you know, just, and not in a hot part of the day, but if you spray them in the morning or in the evening, spray them, the whole flower, it will kill all the thrips. They will be back the next day, but it'll be different thrips.
Are they in the soil or in the?
They get down in the roots and in the soil and they're in the ground around the greenhouse, and they come in off of, they love citrus trees. If you've got gardenias, those white flowers, if you look on a white gardenia, you'll see 1,000 black thrips all in them. They love gardenias. It's a bellwether.
If you want to try a natural control,
I've lost 6 to 8
and you
hours.
have a
In this
screen,
way, the leaves just gradually drop
not
off.
that the screen keeps them out, it doesn't, they go right through the screen like it wasn't even there because they're so small. But if the screen room protects these lizards, which are very small when they're born, and they feel like thrips.
I've got good flash.
And they keep them out on
Thank you.
100%
Good,
no.
thank you.
But it keeps the snakes from eating the thrips, and it keeps the large frogs.
This, and this has been so far gone, it's hard to tell which is which. My guess would be a fusarium wilt, and the fusarium starts down at the rhizome, down through here, and down into, this is monopodial, so it would start in the roots in the bottom here, and it works its way up. Vandas are particularly susceptible to fusarium, and it is a fungus, almost really difficult to eradicate in a plant. I would say this plant would be almost impossible to save. Let me turn this
So
off.
I've lost several this way in the last few months.
Yeah, you've lost too much. The only thing you might want to try to do is take it out of this pot, cut off all the diseased and dead roots, start at the bottom of the stem where the roots are, and start cutting it upward. When you cut it from the bottom, you're going to look at a cross section of where the roots and the stem is, and you will see it's black. That means it's dead. Then you cut a little bit higher, and you'll see it's still black. You keep cutting, and then pretty soon you'll see a purple ring inside with green tissue inside of it, and the cambium layer, I think it was cambium layer, will have a purple ring to it. That is the fusarium, the live fusarium fungus, a wilt. It's a fungus. And you still have to cut until you see nothing but green. Then you make one more cut. Anybody tell me why?
Clean cut above
Because
the
you've
knees
got
there.
fusarium all over your cutters, and all you're doing is in adding fusarium as you're cutting it up. So once you get a green cut, just above that, get a clean, sterile pair of cutters and make that final cut so you're not introducing the fusarium back into the plant. Now, what happens if you cut it all the way up and there's no roots left?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye plant, unfortunately. You gotta have roots. You gotta have roots and leaves on an orchid. They don't like it if you cut all the roots off, or if you have all the roots that look good and you cut the leaves off, they'll die. Okay? If you have some root left, you can put this in a plastic bag, wet sphagnum down at the bottom, just damp, squeeze it out, put it at the bottom, seal the top of the bag. Doesn't hurt to blow it up a little bit because the carbon dioxide is good for the plants, they like it. And you hang it up and see if you can get some new roots to start growing. Keep it sealed so you're not introducing any other contaminants, okay? And it might come back. It's easier to throw it away though.
It's away from, it's totally away from every other orchid I own, okay? But see how the leaves are kind of like, they don't look healthy. They're just kind of there. They're all kind of closed up and everything else. I started up here and started doing that cut, and then found it got until I didn't see any red, cut it one more time, had a couple roots, hung upside down because sometimes you'll get a few more roots that way. I'm waiting for a keiki. It's blooming. I should actually cut off these flowers because this poor plant needs everything it can do to just survive
Yeah, you don't
right
want
now.
the energy into the flowers.
So I don't want the energy in the flowers. So the flowers I kept for tonight, they're going away like tomorrow morning, okay? It's called put them in a vase and hope for this. But this is, I'm trying to see if it's going to grow a keiki or not. Probably not, because look at the stem right here. It's like almost rotted all the way through this stem, and I've
Yeah,
only got
for-
one root above it.
For a kiki, the suggestion is you lay them down horizontal,
Okay.
not vertical. Lay it down on a horizontal surface, and if it's going to kiki, it'll put the kiki up perpendicular to the stem. Okay, and it'll put it out somewhere if there's a live node in here somewhere for it to do that. Now, I do have to show one more thing on here.
Show all sorts of things.
Check this spotting out that you have on the leaf here and some here. This is called Thai fungus. It was introduced to us from Thailand. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, that was introduced from Thailand. It is mostly a leaf type fungus. It's also called Guignardia and Philisticta. So several names it goes by, but it is a very virile fungus, not a virus, but a fungus. What you see on the outside is the spores. The spores are like the seeds of a fungus. Those spores will splash from this is a vandaceous type disease. It doesn't get on cattleyas or anything else. It loves vandas or any of the vandaceous stuff. And as you water your plant, it will splash from this plant to another plant, and those spores, once they lodge in, will start producing the fungus. I had a friend of mine, name was Bill Toms. He had one of the most beautiful Vanda collections you'd ever want to see, and he had to burned every Vanda he had in the greenhouse because of this. It is a very slow disease, but it will just keep building and building until the leaves become very discolored. The flowers will look perfect. There's nothing wrong with the flowers, and but
fungicide won't kill it?
it's very difficult. It has to be a systemic. Who asked that? Oh, Terry. It has to be a systemic because the fungus is inside the leaves, and it's only the spores that you see on the outside. A couple of things you can do. Clear nail polish. If you have just a few like on this plant, paint it with clear nail polish because that way the spores can't get out. You're basically covering them with a paint. And it's clear so you still get the light through it. That works good.
So that would be when you have the spots on the underneath, like there, that you would go and paint that spot?
Everywhere you see a lesion, you would paint it. Better thing is, it usually starts at the bottom leaves and works their way up the plant. So if you can do it, cut off any of the lesions that you see. Not pretty, but it'll keep it from spreading to other plants, and it'll let this one grow out and probably kiki or produce roots further on up. Now remember, you gotta have roots and you gotta have leaves. So if you cut like this leaf off here and you still got roots, it won't hurt it any. And eventually, if you get too much stem, as long as you have roots on top, you can still cut some of the roots off the bottom. As long as you keep roots on the bottom, leaves on the top, it will grow. So don't ever cut all the roots off because it will not regenerate roots at that point. It might, if you lay it down, create a kiki, maybe. So this is a difficult disease. It's called Guignardia. Common name, Thai fungus, because that's where it came from. They really wrecked the Vandas over in this part of the world when they started importing massive amounts of Vandas from Thailand, and they didn't realize it was there. And it's been hard to eradicate. I don't know. I've seen this before on plants. This is a cymbidium, and I've seen this kind of like this. But frankly, I just don't know without going to do research what that is. I'd have to look it up, and I could give it to Christy and have her publish it. But I'd have to go find this one. I hate to just guess. You got some problems with this leaf here. It's showing the same kinds of thing.
Yeah, all of them are starting to do that. Mostly at the ends. It's interesting.
You can see
What are you looking at?
this area here. You can see the two different colors. Well,
Actually, it's easier without it.
There you go, like that. It shows it up pretty good.
Yeah.
So, say black rot,
Okay.
and it will work its way not only up here, but it'll spread through the rhizome. It may be back, it's already in this one, probably in that one, this one definitely, and that one. So, and it looks like it's moved all the way up to the front. By the way, for people who don't know, Cattleyas are a rhizome plant that has a growth direction. They grow in a specific way. They can split and go in two different ways, like Y off, but they grow up, out, up, out, up, out, up, and so they march. The part that runs parallel to the ground is called the rhizome, and then the pseudobulb comes up vertically. And what you're seeing is it's this black rot, which is a fungal rot, spreads from the bottom, and it's spreading through the rhizome to the pseudobulbs. It will spread rapidly in humid and water conditions. It'll spread within a few days to everything you've got. My recommendation, I know you don't want to, would be to destroy the plant. If it was just in the back part of the plant, back here, you could cut it off, treat it with cinnamon or with a fungicide. Cinnamon is good because it doesn't hurt you any, smells nice. You can take a paintbrush, dip it in water, put it in just cinnamon powder and paint it. And it is a fungicide, bactericide, smells nice, cauterizes the wound, just an all-around good stuff. Buy the tomes from Sam's Club or Costco or somewhere like that and get a great big thing of it. You can.
That's a Dowiana. Are those pretty susceptible to?
Not anymore, not as.
No,
much
any
more than-
Cattleya. There's two different kinds. There's Pythium and Phytophthora, and some of them are bacterial. They're called black rots and brown rots, and some of them are hot, humid weather will start it, and some of them are cold, clammy weather will start it. Two different kinds, and you don't know which one that is. No, I mean, you wouldn't know which one that is by looking at it. But if it's spread all the way through the plant, which this has, and it's affected every pseudobulb you got, there's nothing to save, unfortunately. If it had started in the back, you could lop off the back part, treat it, and then repot the front part. But not in the same pot or not in the same mix, because that stuff is in the mix and on the pot. You'd have to start with something really clean with it. But isolate it from the rest of your collection. That's sunburn.
How's the sun?
I don't know. But that's
Getting-
what it is. You see it's on this side, but again, it's
How's it
characteristic.
getting to there if the sunburn's on this side?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know
this
where
is-
it's growing, but I do
it's
know
in my potting shed.
the white area with the black ring around it and a little bit of white on the outside of that is very characteristic of sunburn. And it's showing it where the sun is here.
Was there an oil base? Did you use an oil base?
No.
And
Look, how did it
it's
get
just
there?
it's just there. That is not Guignardia. It's not Thai fungus. This is not characteristic. It's characteristic sunburn.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And on a Vanda, that's hard to
Is
get.
it in the sun?
It's
Well,
hanging in my potting shed. The sun's on that side.
Do you have a
Maybe
mirror?
something's
Is there
reflecting
a
on it.
mirror?
It's reflecting.
The potting shed has a,
How about heat? No heat.
no.
no reflection.
Very quick.
Okay, what do we have here?
Okay, this looks very much also like the black rot, except it starts up high on the.
No, it starts in at the bottom
Yeah,
on
there-
new growth,
there
and
it is
then
in
the
the
whole
bottom.
thing turns
And then the whole
black.
thing, yeah.
Or you'll see it like
On the
right
new growth?
here.
Trim it.
What are you watering with?
Guys, you guys hold it.
Regular water,
City
thick.
water.
City water.
city water.
Yeah, that could be it.
What kind of fertilizer do you use?
The whatever the bag of orchid mix from.
The Guignardia, the Thai fungus.
Yeah.
But that's easily, you can just, when you slice this, cut it at a diagonal, not straight across. It just makes them look better.
But isn't that a cabinet?
They've got a couple of things
This-
that I don't know if
this
you
is
can
not a
see on there.
vanda.
The-
This
Some of
is
the
a,
little leaves are turned
this is
black.
Yeah, I know, but I would cut it across here. It's not a
A
vanda,
Brassivola cattleya mix.
but this is a
It's
leaf
cross.
type fungus. It might be Cercospora
Okay.
on the leaf.
And then what about this part where
It's not.
where at
It's
the
not
bottom?
bandaceous at all. Huh?
No.
No, because it's rhizomus. It has a rhizome.
So this is
Close.
actually also, it'll start like black at the bottom, and then suddenly the whole, these were new, or I think are new ones.
But that could be a
But
black
like you'll
rot.
see it in there,
But it's dry. It's not smelly,
it's dry.
so it's probably fungal.
And
I
look,
think
you'll see it
fungal.
in,
It also could be a calcium deficiency, even if you're using city water. I would use a fungicide on it, and preferably a systemic. And what kind of fertilizer do you use?
orchid fertilizer mix. I can send you the name of it.
Yeah,
I don't remember
because
which one it
I
was
want
right
to know if it has the calcium magnesium supplements.
Okay.
You don't know what this is, do
It just
you?
doesn't grow.
No,
I've
I
had
think
it for like 6 or 7 years and it just doesn't grow.
no, because it's mostly a miniature. But the problem is it doesn't have roots.
It didn't, and then I started.
It's got
I
this-
think
it's
I
got
spoke
this
with
one.
Al about this one time, and I started watering it with kelp water, and then I got this nice strong root.
Yeah. So, and you watered it with what?
Kelp water.
Kelp water. Okay. Well, keep doing that. These roots, this root's dead. That root's
Okay.
dead. So cut that off. And
This one looks like it might be
Okay,
okay.
so this one's got pretty much
So,
was all dead roots.
this
It's got
is good.
one
Keep doing
that's
what you're
starting to
doing.
grow, 'cause she's using better water, like a kelp water, and it's starting to get a root.
Kelp water mixed with the faucet water. Kelp water
yeah.
mixed with faucet water.
Don't overwater this because this is sphagnum moss.
That's what I put that in there so it would stay moist.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want it moist, but you don't want it
It's
soggy.
a miniature,
That's
so
why
it can
I
grow
put it
in
in
And
water.
this is a
So
miniature. It's going to grow very slowly anyway.
Yeah, well,
it
it's
will
like
never
7
be
years
big.
like this.
I don't know what it is. It could be like a falcata, which is a miniature. It
kind of
could be
vanda?
Calatantheria.
It's a kind
Yeah,
of vanda?
it's a kind of a vanda. But they only get about this big, but they bunch out.
Sunburn, Dave?
It'll produce another one and another one and another one.
Bottom
Yeah.
leaves?
That is Thai fungus.
Thai crud, folks. Another one with Thai crud.
Thai crud, yes, and it's all over.
Another
You
one
only
with Thai
have about
crud.
these three at the top that's not infected. You
I've been using band rot.
on it.
I mean, like all summer long.
So that one's got Thai crud as
It's
well.
really hard to kill.
Doesn't
that.
it love the vandas?
The roots look good all the way to the bottom. It is not fusarium. The spores are typical of Guignardia.
Yeah.
Little
And that's what
stripes
it's
on the
got.
side
This
of
one
the
I would
leaves.
cut just
Back in half or
yeah,
back to
where it's
just
clean.
focus off.
And this one you can cut in the outside. You can still keep that part, this part. Everywhere you see the spores going all the way in,
what
you
is
need
my
to
best
cut it
bet
all
on
the way
it?
back.
Yeah. So
This leaf here looks okay. You need to cut the tip of it off. This leaf has to
You
go.
know how hard that is? Hang on, let me try and do it this way. There's a line, like there's lines that are not going down the middle of the leaf. It's almost like parallel to the middle of the leaf. Okay? According to
on these lines.
It does look like a. You can test it, but it does look like a
So
mosaic.
dropping it off into the trash
Yeah.
is probably my best
Safest.
bet.